Charmaine Yoest is the president and CEO of Americans United for Life, the legal architects of the pro-life movement. They've been involved in every life-related case before the U.S. Supreme Court since Roe v. Wade. Charmaine and AUL's legal strategists work to save the lives of the unborn as well as protect women from the many emotional and physical ramifications of abortion.
There's very serious psychological consequences for women coming out of abortion. The suicide rate for post-abortive women is much higher than the general population, and that's something that's important to talk about. As I think a lot of women go into abortion, they're told it's not going to be a big deal, that they'll feel a sense of relief, and you know, maybe many women do feel a sense of relief, but then it's followed later on by a sense of what have I done. So the fact that some women suffer from depression and increased alcoholism and other different kinds of ways of dealing with emotional trauma really highlights the fact that abortion isn't just any old surgical procedure.
What kind of physical complications from surgical abortion, or chemical for that matter, have you seen inflicted upon women?
The consequences and the complications of chemical abortion are actually sometimes much more significant than surgical abortion. Chemical abortion is being sold in our culture today as, hey, pop a pill, and it's just the easier, simpler, more private route of abortion. And yet what women find is that there's a much higher rate of hemorrhaging and very significant bleeding situations, and they're told, hey, just go to the emergency room and tell them that you've had a miscarriage. That's very, very dangerous for women.
Anderson of Cincinnati, Ohio, is 37 years old and the mother of 5 children. At 19, she was already the mother of a 6-month-old baby girl when she became pregnant for the second time. Angela was terrified. She already had to forego college for her first daughter and feared she wouldn't be forgiven by her family for getting pregnant a second time. Angela's fear and shame led her to choose abortion. Angela kept the secret from her friends and family, but she could never forget her choice to abort her baby. Did you instantly regret your decision?
I was extremely regretful and already beginning to feel grief. Grief. I guess from the very beginning it was an emotional roller coaster. There was a lot of denial that took place immediately. There would be things that would immediately punch me in my gut or just slap me across my face to remind me of what I had done. And instead of dealing with those in a healthy way, I would often turn to self-destructive behaviors, especially in the first, probably the first year or two. Drinking, if I felt like I couldn't handle it. Sometimes I would be very aggressive, you could say. My anger was very much in control of me, and I grew up a very passive, kind person, and I would be very aggressive and very defensive. I couldn't understand how I could still be a nice person. I couldn't understand how I could still be a person who could love the daughter that I have, knowing what I did to my second child.
As the years went by, were there certain things that would trigger memories about the abortion?
Oh, absolutely. So during the abortion, the thing that really stayed within me the most were the sounds that were involved in the abortion. So I could not go to a dentist because of the suction sound with the dentist. Shop vacs were out of the question for a long time. Whenever I would see a billboard for pregnancy centers, or I would still receive the Right to Life newsletter, and they have that little tiny picture of that torn apart child. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it.
Angela's road to healing began by sharing her story years later, first with her sibling, then with her new husband, and finally with her oldest daughter, who always struggled with being an only child. After receiving words of support and encouragement, Angela knew she needed to continue her journey toward healing. She reached out to the Eve Center, an organization in Cincinnati of Christian women committed to providing emotional and spiritual healing for women.
I had to go through their heart program, which is the 12-week recovery program. It's a group study, and it's amazing. It is truly an amazing process, and every woman is just compassionate and kind. you know you're safe. You're in a safe place. You think you're going to go in and you're just going to talk about your abortion experience, but that's not how it works, right? Because we chose an abortion for a reason, which is from your past experiences. So you go back and you pull out all of that terrible stuff, and it's this whole complete picture. And then you walk through your abortion experiences, but you don't stay there, right? Then you have to go into your life now. So it's not just looking at the mess of your abortion experience, it's looking at the mess of your whole life. But the Eve Center is a safe place to do that. That program was the program that broke all those remaining chains because I needed Jesus Christ to come and do it. I could not do it on my own. I did not understand the consequences that my abortion would have on me for the rest of my life.
Do you think women have a right to know?
Absolutely, I do. I think they have a right to know. I would have needed to know this before I got pregnant. Because once I got pregnant that second time and that shell came around me because I was so terrified and so shameful and so already degrading myself for the choice that I made, I don't know if I would have even heard what anybody would have been trying to say to me. Right? So as soon as they're old enough to discuss what abortion is, they need to understand the full side effects of what abortion does.
I think when you're talking to a woman who is in the midst of making the abortion decision, it's important to ask a lot of questions. She's grappling with exterior problems. She maybe doesn't feel support from the father of her baby. She maybe feels pressured. These are all issues that we need to address with women when they're looking at an abortion decision. And by helping them to understand that abortion itself is a further damage in the situation that she's confronting.
What would you say to women who are still struggling with the emotional or physical ramifications of abortion and just haven't gotten to the end yet?
There are a lot of women out there who are first blindsided by the effect of abortion in their life. But there is help available, and there are groups out there that are really wonderful for helping to work through the grief that both women and men feel after abortion.
When women finally understand what they did was not right, something maybe in their lives, they matured, they had other children, they had experiences that confirmed that what they did was the wrong choice, it's scary to get out of that pain, fear, denial, and shame because you have to acknowledge it. And if you acknowledge it, it's real. And if it's real, you killed your baby. And if you killed your baby, who are you? So you're stuck because you don't want to open it up and look at it because it is nasty and messy. She needs to know she's not alone. That is why we need more post-abortive women who said, I struggled. Like, it wasn't this cakewalk. I totally struggled, but I made it through. Here, you can make it through too. We're not going to guilt you. We're going to walk you through light and hope and get you to the other side.
They are women most offended by from the abortion industry is their continued emphasis on the idea that somehow abortion is about female empowerment. You know, what a tragic irony that the abortion industry that holds itself out, you know, feminism as being about women in power, they're the ones who come to a woman at her most weak and vulnerable time and say, we don't believe in you. We don't think you can cope with this. I believe that the real message of women in power is that we will come to a day where women facing a difficult pregnancy will say, I can do this. That's how we end abortion, is moving into a place where being a mother and embracing motherhood is seen as the most powerful part of being a woman.